are they not? You said bombed.
It bombed.
Yeah,
So
it did really
you don't
poorly.
think they're gonna make another one?
For sure not.
Bezos. Apparently, Bezos' kids are like big Lord of the Rings fans, and they were like, "Dad, don't fuck it up." He goes, "I got this."
He goes, "It's fine." That's what he does with his bald head.
He rubs
just
he rubs his own lucky head.
Slicks it back.
When he's like a rabbit foot, but for his own head. You have to rub a bald head for luck.
Yeah,
you know that?
rub a lot of bald heads.
I could rub more. I'm not capped out. I'm not capped out.
Man. Well, today, thank you guys for tuning into Seasoned Vets. This is the podcast. I'm Martin Henn. He's Colton Dowling.
Thank you.
There you go. We got Jimmy Clifford with us here
That's
today,
right.
too. Today, we are doing a little March Madness. We're getting a little March crazy. Final Four, right around the corner here. And today, we're talking about Bob Knight, one of the most popular college basketball coaches, really one of the most infamous coaches, I'd say, just in the history of sports.
Are you worried that no one knows who that is?
Not at all. Bob Knight is very relevant. You have no idea who he is, do you?
That is correct, Martin.
Well, let's see. Okay, so one of them, you might remember this. Have you ever seen the clip of it's a college basketball coach and
No.
he takes
Let me just stop you right there. No fucking way.
he takes it's like from the mid 80s, and he grabs a chair from the bench and then just throws it across the court. No? Okay. Well, that was like his big thing, but
That was his big. You did that often?
he did it once, and it became like it's like the day Bob Knight threw the chair. It's like a huge deal.
When was that?
That was, I think it was 85. It was like mid 80s. So he was already a pretty good coach at that time.
Okay. I'm trying to think about the Lakers playing ball.
Okay, well, this is college basketball.
That was because I watched the HBO show.
Right, the Lakers are pro.
Right. But was that the 80s?
Yeah. So like he was coaching in Indiana. His like most dominant time in college basketball in the 80s was the same time period as the TV show you watched a few months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, great.
Setting the stage.
Well, now that
everyone had afros.
On the same page.
It was important that when the guy that threw the chair had an afro. That's important to know.
He had a nice head of hair on him, that's for sure. So Bob Knight, one of the most well-known coaches in all of sports. He's currently fourth all-time in wins for men's college basketball. At one point, he was the number one most winningest coach in the history of college basketball. He has the most March Madness appearances of any college basketball coach, and he's the only guy to win an NCAA championship, an NIT championship, an Olympic gold medal, and a Pan American Games gold medal.
I thought you said panic, and I was like, oh, what does that mean? Because you said Olympian and then panic. So
Welcome to the Panic Games. It's just like you have to get out of a room really fast.
Yeah, Squid Games.
Squid Games, another good TV show.
Very good TV show. John Wooden, before or after this guy?
John Wooden before. So he broke John. John Wooden had the record, and then John Wooden had the record broken by Dean Smith, who is the coach at North Carolina. He coached like Michael Jordan. And then Bob Knight took it from Dean Smith.
Wow. He knew that one right off the fucking top of his head.
That's right.
These
we get into basketball, I'm a little bit better.
Okay. What team did Bob Knight coach?
So he was a big coach for Indiana. The coolest thing about this it was an interesting one to research for me because I feel like this is the first time I realized, maybe not the first time I realized, but it's just crazy how wild we're willing to let people be if they're good at something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this was Bob Knight is such a example of that, where a lot of the shit that he was doing when he was coaching, he would have gotten fired so much faster than he did in present day.
Yeah.
But he was just he lived in fucking rural Indiana, right? He lived in Bloomington, Indiana, and he made it this nationally relevant fucking thing, and then they were like, okay, do whatever you want.
Right. But if you go hey, we got some new things we're going to do, you're a bumfuck idiot that doesn't know shit about dick.
Yeah, and then he just gaslights.
And three of them are really good ideas.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, well, the fourth one, I don't know if he needs to throw the chairs, but
we're
he's
gonna
been
let it
right
slide.
about everything.
There was one, some of the stories I really liked that we're not going to touch on because there's just so much stuff. There was one where one of his assistant coaches kind of criticized the game plan or criticized how the program was going for a little bit. Bob Knight threw him out of a chair, like physically threw him out of a chair, and then that guy got fired. Like, that's fucking amazing.
But what did he do?
That's all he did.
He
was just like, hey, I think in terms of like the offense, we could do this. And Bob Knight got so mad, he grabbed the guy and threw him on the fucking ground, and then that guy got fired.
I love that. I'm imagining he goes, "The night man cometh."
It was a thing. I could see it. It was a thing where like okay, so basically in the mid 2000s, players started coming out that he was physically hurting his players, right? So one guy got choked.
I don't know why that's funny to me.
It's
sad, but it's also like giant men being like, "Oh."
Right. The thing is Bob Knight was big too, though. Bob Knight was 6'5", and he went to he played college basketball and coached at Army. Like he was like
at Army.
It was like drill sergeant level fucking laying into these guys. So he would choke players. There's footage of him like headbutting a guy to get his attention, footage of him hitting a guy in the chin to make him give eye contact, like all kinds of shit that kind of just went to the wayside. But like some of the ones that were really good, there was an Indiana sports reporter that asked him a question he didn't like, and he just knocked the guy out. This is in like the 70s. He just punched him out.
Damn. Did you get the question?
I didn't get the question.
Damn.
It just said Indiana sports person. There was another one where he threw a vase at a secretary. Like just crazy shit, right? So we're gonna go over a couple of the things that he's done that he just never got in trouble for. So the first one is one of my favorites. He was coaching at Indiana at this point, but he wound up getting selected to be on the coaching staff for the Pan Am Games in Puerto Rico. Now, the Team USA is practicing in Puerto Rico in this gym, right? And their practice time is done. So the next team on the practice schedule is the Brazilian women's basketball team, right? Now, as you might be able to guess from what we talked about already, Bob Knight's like, yeah, we're not getting off the court for the Brazilian women's basketball team, right? So the police had to get involved. The cops come to the practice and they're trying to tell him to get off the court. And he says, no, they're dirty people.
The Brazilians?
Yeah, the Brazilians are dirty people. So he starts getting like physically...
He said that to the Puerto Rican police?
Yeah.
He's like, you're American, you get it.
Right. Well, no, they weren't at this time.
Oh, they weren't?
No. So this is a whole thing. It's like Puerto Rico is trying to become a part of America at this time. So they're like, yeah, come play the games here. This is great. It's going to be great for relations, right? And so Bob Knight's not getting off the court. So finally, the cops are like trying to physically get him off the court. He punches a cop in the face during this whole exchange, okay? The cops arrest him. They put him in jail. He's in jail for less than an hour. They say he's in jail for maybe like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
He gets out immediately from some kind of American official. The cop that got punched in the face is like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And
he gets fired.
No, legit. Like the Puerto Rican government was like, hey, you're not pressing charges. You're not going to talk about this. Leave it alone. And the cop was like, fuck that. I'm not doing that.
Right.
So the cop goes to press charges. They find a judge that's willing to like honor the case and everything like that. And they put out an order to extradite Bob Knight and bring him back to Puerto Rico, right? The governor of Puerto Rico is like, I won't do it. Because they're so concerned about the relations between Puerto Rico and the United States at this time. So they wouldn't do it. And Bob Knight went into Sports Illustrated in like the early 80s. They asked him about the whole incident. And he goes, I hate Puerto Ricans. He goes, fuck them all. All they know how to do is grow bananas. And that got put in Sports Illustrated.
Damn.
And with no repercussion.
But
never lost his job, never got in trouble, never got extradited. Just like, he's like, Brazilians are dirty and I hate Puerto Ricans. And then he went on to win like 2 NCAA titles after that.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining him on a beach in Miami, just like, suck it, looking at Puerto Rico.
Right? Like,
it's like his life is like a fucking movie because he literally is just the prime example of I'm going to do and say anything I want and like nobody's going to check me on it.
that is There is a little, and I think it's, being raised by a man who's very similar.
No,
a lot of those morals and skills of like, just, that man has grit. He doesn't take no for an answer.
Just undeniable.
He does exactly what he wants, and he's free. And
it was like,
I feel like there's something so American about. I know everything you just said is so awful.
No, but it is.
Like,
the 70s and the 80s were like a heaven for mean white guys. If
Yeah.
you were mean and you were a white guy in the 70s and 80s, you just got away with whatever the fuck you wanted to, and life was amazing.
what would you have
Make
done
America great again, baby.
It was legit. It was this fucking Gordon Gekko,
Yeah, I
fucking
guess-
John Travolta, just like, I'm gonna go out there, I'm getting what I want, fuck
Right.
everybody else, my life's a movie and that's okay.
Except I was gonna say it's kind of like it is Trump. Trump is like
Yeah.
70 years old.
Yeah. And he's like, fuck Ted Cruz, his wife is fat, vote for me. And then everybody fucking did.
Damn.
But that's because, like, to a certain extent,
Andrew-
we all want to be that person.
Oh, man.
And so we think we're like, well, we don't want to ruin it because you never know what could happen. Things could
one of
change
those,
for me.
like, it just looks so liberating to be this guy and I think to be this person, you have to be a fucking meathead too. Like, that's the thing. Like, Trump,
Andrew Tate
Bobby
is
Knight,
doing it right
Andrew
now.
Tate, like, they're complete fucking meatheads where it's like, I don't even possess the self-awareness to understand that I am objectively in the wrong.
Right.
And that complete lack of self-awareness and blind confidence just steamrolls over people that are smart enough to be uncertain about the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is the Dunning-Kruger, but it's your life.
It's
and,
legit.
and you're just failing forward in the best way.
It really
wait.
is.
You
It's
think-
like, I'm too stupid to understand I'm doing a bad job. So other people like don't even have the gall to call me out.
But
on
I'm
it.
because I usually defer to somebody's confidence. I go,
Oh God, I
They're-
wish.
they're so confident. You gotta give it to
Wait.
them.
I wish
Here's the
I
thing.
didn't have
Are
the
you
shame.
sure? Are you sure it's stupidity? Because I don't think it's stupidity. I think they're like, if anyone else did this, it would be wrong. But I'm allowed to because I'm the man. I'm him.
Well, I guess what's the difference between like ignorance, arrogance, and stupidity, right? Because that's sort of where it falls into.
Like Leonardo DiCaprio dates strictly 19-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
Right.
If he saw some fat mailman that was in his mid-50s and he was like, I only fuck 19-year-olds, he'd be like, ew, that's wrong. But I'm Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right.
I'm allowed to. I
And it
get the
makes me
pass.
okay, yeah.
So it's not like he's too stupid to realize that it's creepy. He's just like, you don't have the privilege and I do.
Right.
Right, but I think that's arrogance.
That's
Arrogance,
Yeah,
not
so I
stupidity,
think
though.
arrogance.
No, but that's
Yeah.
not arrogance. That's maneuvering. That's going like that's power play, being like, "Yo, you can't, I can."
I don't like the way-
I actually.
What's
am
that Peaky
smart enough.
Blinders quote? He's like, why do we do? Because we fucking can.
Yeah.
I think we just adopted a whole new vibe.
This has become an Andrew Tate podcast. I'm so sorry, Mom. Yeah.
You know,
No, I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying like, you know.
But
I get
we're
what
saying
you're
we
saying.
can. But we're
And
saying we
I
can.
think that there is like, I mean, I think we can look at it and be like, okay, those people are assholes, but also like that must be such a like liberating and like freeing mentality to
dude.
have.
What I'm
to
saying
be
is I
like,
get it.
I'm gonna behave how I want to behave. I'm not gonna apologize for it, and to be able to like put that attitude out there and then have people who you don't give a fuck about that never even met you just dig their heels in on your behalf for no other reason than they enjoy watching you behave like that. Like, what a crazy fucking
It's like limitless.
what a
like,
crazy behavior that we all like adopt. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
because it's like it takes a village. You know what I mean? Those people can't be relevant without hundreds of thousands or millions of people rewarding that behavior.
but like the idea that there's nothing in life that you think you can't do. And I mean, like, you know, your mom
Yeah.
tells you, you can do anything you want to. But there are some, like Donald Trump was a billionaire that was grabbing women by the pussy and like just doing everything. And he's like, I could be president one day. And then he did.
And then he just did it.
Kanye in an interview goes, I think if I really put my mind to it, I could play in the NBA.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You're like 5'9", dude.
It's so awesome.
And he believes it.
man.
Like, truly believes it.
He's just, and it's just like that confidence is there. It's crazy. It's funny too, because you see that confidence though on people who aren't successful as well. And those people are just insane.
Right.
Like the only thing separating these other people from being 100% delusional is they found success in this other field.
So okay, so now we're
is getting
but this,
really
this,
deep.
this-
Wow.
no. This is why I'm not that confident because
Yeah.
because I don't have anything.
Oh God, no! If somebody gave you success, that'd be the end of it.
It
for all
would
of us.
be really bad.
They wouldn't even let you into Puerto Rico. So all of this shit happened, right? Bob Knight punches a cop, talks shit about Puerto Rico. Nothing happens. This has resulted in Puerto Rico just kind of collectively hating Bob Knight, and to a point that like anytime he had like a major blunder or a major controversy, it would make headlines in Puerto Rican newspapers. Like they would celebrate all his failures.
That's awesome.
It's hilarious. The day he got fired from the University of Indiana, the article of him getting fired was on the front page of 4 different Puerto Rican newspapers.
I don't know. I was gonna ask the dumbest fucking question in the world, so I won't ask that.
Okay, I got
What
one.
was the question?
Is Bob different in Spanish?
Roberto.
So is it Roberto Knight?
Roberto Noche. Oh, that sounds like a great fucking pseudonym. You were Meth McConaughey. Fuck that. Next time you do this shit, you
Roberto.
got to be Roberto Noche.
Dude, I'll be Roberto Noche.
That's such a good name.
Okay. Hey, I'll lose a bet.
Oh, Roberto Noche.
Could you imagine,
That's
like, you know,
great.
he's slapping around his players, and they're like big dudes, they're like not used to being like bitched around, and they're just like building up the confidence. He's like, he can't do this. He can't do this. And then he
Yeah.
goes, oh shit, he just punched a cop and nothing happened. He can do
real.
this.
I'm gonna say
For
something.
real.
Yeah, I'm gonna say so. I'm gonna get kicked off the team and my ass kicked.
Right,
You know?
right.
So
Well,
funny.
that explains why he never played Puerto Rican Steve in any of the games. The guy always had to ride the bench. Sucks.
I love a coup.
Oh man, but yeah, there's all kinds of stories. Like he hit a player because the player called him Knight rather than Coach Knight or Mr. Knight. Like all kinds of shit. So this happened for 20 plus
Was
years.
he good looking?
Silver Fox.
Yeah. He's 6'5",
You know,
but
I would say he was like
he's carrying around all that anger with him.
very conventional, like Midwest dad appearance. He
What-
wore a lot of windbreakers, so he'd wear like baggy windbreakers all the time.
It kind of looks like Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, Dick Van... Oh.
So that's
No.
a picture of him. I mean, pretty conventional, like angry.
Why do you think he was so angry?
Because he had to live in Indiana for 30 years.
Yeah, I don't know, but he got
But
pissed.
he had to have a lot of money. Like, he was probably living fucking fine.
Oh, he was doing great. Well,
Yeah,
and
but
it's
you're
also
still in
like
Indiana.
that's the thing is part of it is it's not even.
What do you have
about,
against
like,
Indiana?
Dude, it's fucking cold.
Oh, dude,
There's
Indiana's
nothing there.
Brutal. Have you
It's
never
rough.
been to Indiana?
I couldn't even put it on a map. I was thinking of Illinois the entire time he was saying Indiana.
It's right next.
No,
to
Illinois is
so-
not bad. You're close to Chicago, but
Well,
like
Chicago's not bad. Illinois is brutal. But
DeKalb.
you drive into yeah, that's right. We did that show in DeKalb. You drive into Indiana from Illinois, and there's a billboard that just says "Hell is real." As soon as you drive in.
yeah, and you're like, and I'm here.
Yeah, and that's it. And
Isn't
then you drive
Mike
through Indiana.
Pence
and
from
you're like, I
Indiana?
get it. Yeah, Mike Pence is in
Okay,
Indiana.
that makes sense.
There's cool parts of Indiana. Like Indianapolis is supposed to be really cool. They got a little bit of the Great Lakes, which is supposed to be really cool. And then Bloomington is supposed to be pretty neat.
Oh, yeah. People always tell me to go to Bloomington. Comedy, whatever.
Indiana, that's where Indiana University is. That's where Bob Knight was this whole time. Was Bloomington.
Okay, so he was in a nice part.
He was in a decent part, but
He
I
had
think,
a great comedy club around him.
I think it's one of those things where like
Yeah, he sounds like he had a real good sense of humor.
yeah, he probably did
what,
the open
did
mic.
he
a
ever
couple times.
laugh? Did you ever catch him laugh? Like,
Oh,
did
God.
he hit
All
these guys and
the
go like,
time.
bitch?
We'll go through a couple of his quotes where like he was always like really funny with the media. Like he his press conferences are legendary. He would just shit on these people all the time. There was one where they asked him, he was going to play Iowa, and the head coach of Iowa was one of his former players. And they're like, what do you think about playing one of your former players? He's like, I don't give a goddamn fuck about playing one of my fucking... Like, he just got angry. And it's like, that's actually a really good question. Yeah. So he would do that shit.
I thought he was just going to personally... He's like, I know that he's a fucking pussy.
Well, and there's all kinds of... Steve Alford was one of the guys that, like... They were like, was he abusive? And he kind of came out and basically, like, buried him at the end.
Imagine you're coaching a team now and you see your former coach and he looks at you and goes, don't make me come over there and slap the shit out of you again.
He's just fucking punching his knuckles and shit. He's like got a chair like, I'm gonna throw it. I'm gonna throw it at you.
Is that why he threw the chair?
He threw the
chair to try to get
it
it across the court to the other side?
It was because of bad refereeing. There were like multiple
he threw it
fouls.
At a ref?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. We'll show you. We'll do. I'll find a video of it at the end. We can watch it at the very end. But yeah, always shit on reporters. Always. But he would make a lot of jokes with reporters. So like one of his famous quotes about talking about journalists is, we all learned how to write in the second grade, and then some of us went on to do more. Like that's how he felt about journalism. Big Fox News guy.
Okay, yeah,
Big
that makes
Fox
sense.
News guy. So wound up finally getting thrown out. Or wound up getting fired from Indiana. Basically, all these reports kept coming out in like 20 years of abuse in Indiana. And Indiana basically was like, we're either going to fire you or you're going to have to sign this like zero tolerance policy. And he made it, I think, like 3 years after he signed the zero tolerance policy.
That's pretty long.
Well, he made it that far. That doesn't mean he wasn't constantly fucking up through the whole thing. Also never takes responsibility for any of this stuff. You never hear him apologize. You never hear him do anything like that. So after his time at Indiana, he wound up getting hired at Texas Tech. A lot of people at Texas Tech didn't want him there. There was a petition signed by 53 of the teachers saying, please don't allow him to come. The chancellor was newly appointed, and he's like, I don't really want him there. But the athletic director was good friends with him. They wound up hiring him anyways, and he coached there for a couple years. The theatrics did not stop when he got to Texas Tech. So I got two more stories of
What
him.
year is that?
That was like 2001, 2002. He started at Tech.
Could you imagine, like, literally, if he's slapping the shit out of, like, giants, 6'5", 6'6" dudes, and then, like, an English teacher during a staff meeting is like, I don't really appreciate... Shut the fuck up, you pussy.
And the
Sit down. Go get me a... He pulls a Conor McGregor. Go get me a fucking coffee.
Yeah.
And then he's like, the guy's looking at the athletic director's like, yeah, you should probably just go get him a coffee.
What are you going to do? He said he'd hit you.
I would run. I'd believe his threats. He hits me.
So, he actually...
So funny.
We're going to get into it. We're going to wrap it up with the story about where he actually gets into a fight with the chancellor of the school at like a grocery store.
You ever see the video of the cop walking in and then like a little girl slaps another little girl, so then the father slaps the little girl, and then people just start slapping each other over and over again?
No.
Oh, I'll show you later. But that's Bob Knight at a staff meeting, just whack, whack, whack.
Just a chain reaction. So the theatrics didn't stop at Texas Tech. They went to go play in Houston for like a charity game, and the arena wasn't really up to par for Bob Knight. And he started complaining about the arena at the press conference after the game. The big quote coming out of it was he said the locker room and the accommodations for his team would have been cramped for midgets, let alone his team. Mm-hmm. So he kept popping shit
Puerto
about
Ricans took offense to that one too.
2001, they're allowed to say that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you
2001
could say midget all day.
Yeah, they were fine.
All day.
I mean, I could list a couple other words that were still fine at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think after you say fuck all of Puerto Rico, like what? Now you're gonna have the midgets against you too? What's the big deal?
Interesting.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say big deal, but
I'm not taking a stance.
What's more offensive? Bob Knight saying
Bob Knight fucking punching me.
What's more offensive? Bob Knight going fuck Puerto Ricans, or Dennis Rodman going fuck Mormons?
Oh man,
I know.
I think
which
fuck
one do
Puerto
I care?
Ricans.
Which is worse?
Oh.
I think it's more offensive to say fuck Puerto Ricans than it is to say fuck Mormons.
Because nobody respects Mormons.
Yeah.
Well, right. I guess that's exactly what I was going to say, is Mormons does feel like they could stop being Mormon at any time.
Exactly.
And Puerto Ricans are like, no matter what they do, are still going to be Puerto Rican.
I would say the Mormons have committed way more atrocities than the Puerto Ricans ever have either. What's the worst thing that Puerto Rico's ever done?
Stole
Puerto
my
Rico?
North Face in
Like
the
Ricky
Bronx.
Martin? What?
Stole my North Face in the Bronx.
Stole your North Face.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
It's a
not
fucking
all Puerto
really
Ricans.
nice coat.
Right. That's
Not
what I
all
was.
Puerto
That's
Ricans.
exactly what I was going. I was like,
That's
well, I know a
alright.
Puerto Rican dude who's pretty, shitty, but
They
killed
I had
Tony?
a French woman.
Montana.
No, Tony from West Side Story.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. What was his?
Come on,
last
Colton,
name?
you're the fucking
No, I know.
musical
I
guy.
know.
That's
Yeah.
right up your alley.
Yeah, I know.
I know
How
all
are you
about him.
drawing a blank?
What's his last name? I thought it was Tony Montana.
No, that's Scarface.
No, that's Scarface.
He's Cuban.
I'm not. I've never been good with names. I
West
can-
Side Scarface.
Maria.
He's all coked out. That's awesome.
That is. You should.
So Bob Knight complained a bunch about the stadium, and the building manager actually took issue with it. And the building manager confronted Bob Knight in the loading dock, and he's like, "Hey, I don't really like what you said about the building." Bob Knight proceeded to cuss him out for that, and then offered to fight him. Like, just
Offered?
escalate. He's like, "We can take this outside if you want to." He's like, "I'm ready to fight you right now." And he's like, "I just thought it was kind of fucked up. You said it wouldn't even be good for midgets." And he's like, "No, fuck that." And like laid into this guy, right? So they have this huge blowout in the loading dock. And it gets covered, right? They find out about it. It gets covered in the news and stuff like that. A week later, the building manager comes out and apologizes for confronting Bob Knight and says, "Hey, I'm really sorry that I said anything."
Yo, my fucking God. Dude, I love this shit.
And then you decided to fight me for it. And so that all came out, and then Bob Knight, after it came out, and they asked Bob Knight, like, "What do you think?" And he's like, "Yeah, well, the guy should apologize to me."
He goes,
Bob Knight's
kiss the fucking ring.
Yeah.
Bob Knight's exact quote after I love this. Bob Knight's exact quote after that he was asked about the apology. He goes, "I think the key thing is that the guy at the top of the whole thing saw the situation and decided they owed us an apology." So he not only was like, "Yeah, they owed us an apology." A, he didn't say like it was really nice of them to apologize, and then B, took a total dig at the building manager and was like, "Yeah, when a more important guy found out about the situation, they definitely thought that they should apologize to me."
I feel like if that's your test of who's right is I'll beat you up, then you can be right about anything.
Oh, it was so great.
That's so. I mean, that building manager probably shouldn't have said anything though.
Oh God, do you know how pissed that guy is though?
Oh,
that he's
yeah.
like, "No, he said it wasn't even good enough for midgets, and then he wanted to fight me, and now I gotta say I'm sorry."
Yeah.
It's like I feel more disrespected than a Puerto Rican cop right now. You know,
He was right, but ultimately he can't be talking
it's just
shit.
like his entire.
He's the building manager.
His entire career is like, "I'm gonna do this really fucked up thing to you, and then I'm gonna move on, and then somebody else is gonna tell you, hey, listen, you gotta go apologize to Bobby." And that's like his whole life.
Oh, the beginning of the movie is some kid getting beat up.
Yeah, by Bob Knight.
Bobby, and then having to go apologize.
It's like when Dick Cheney shot that guy in the face, and then the guy was like, "Yeah, I really shouldn't have been in the way." You know, it's the same energy.
That's great.
So we got one more. I saved the best one for last. This is my favorite one. He wound up getting into it with the chancellor of Texas Tech at the time. So there's 3 people in this story. This is like 2004. So Bob Knight's been there for a little bit, and there's already been some shit. When he had to play his former player, and they asked him about it. That's while he was at Texas Tech. So there's already been some stuff where it's like he's gotten ejected from games. His tempers already came out. So it's 2004, and it's in the middle of a lunch rush at this like bougie or like the nice grocery store in Lubbock, Texas, whatever that means in 2004.
HEB. Oh.
I think it was called United. So anyway, the athletic director, Myers, is there. Bobby Knight's there. And then the chancellor is David Smith is there, right? So David Smith is in the cafeteria area of this grocery store, and he sees the athletic director, Myers. He goes up to him and he goes, hey, I wanted to let you know, I think, Bob Knight, Coach Knight's been doing a great job lately. He's been really behaving well. His attitude's been wonderful. We're really happy with him. And Gerald Myers goes, well, he's here. You can tell him yourself. So the chancellor goes over to Bob Knight while he's in line at the salad bar and just basically says, like, hey, I think you're doing a great job. And Bob Knight gets so fucking pissed at him. He throws his salad. And people, like, there's mixed accounts. We're going to go through a couple different accounts of what happened in this story. But what's confirmed is there's witnesses that say they saw the chancellor go up to Bob Knight. Bob Knight gets mad and throws his salad. And then after he throws his salad, he goes, are you calling me a fucking liar? There's another guy there and the athletic director. They get everybody outside, and once they get everybody outside, they keep like jawing at each other, where like apparently the chancellor's like, hey, you can't talk to me like this. I'm your boss. And Bob Knight's like, I'll talk to you however the fuck I want. And they keep getting separated, and then there's confirmed that like basically they're getting separated. They're going back to their cars, and Bob Knight keeps stopping and like looking back at him and like sizing him up like this, like he's gonna fight the guy. And Bob Knight's 6'5", right? The chancellor is this former doctor. I think he's about 5'10".
Damn.
He just keeps talking about trying to fight him. So there's two different like accounts, right? This is Bob Knight claims that the chancellor walked up to him, and the chancellor asked him if he had any issues at the school. Knight brought up an issue, and the chancellor kept pushing back about what Bob Knight was bringing up, and then it escalated. Bob Knight yelled, threw his salad, and then they got brought outside.
Yeah.
Knight would go on to say, I absolutely did not instigate anything. Now, the chancellor said it went way different than that. The chancellor claims that he walked up to Bob Knight at the salad bar, joked about eating healthy, like, oh, yeah, you're having a salad for once, and then made a comment along the line of, most of us only hear the negatives. Sometimes it's really important to hear the positives. Knight responded with, I always handle things well, and I always have. And then fucking wound up like basically just getting into him with it because he was pissed that he commented on the salad. So even when you compliment the guy, he got so mad and almost fought his boss. Now you would think, oh man, causing a huge scene in a small college town at a very busy grocery store, right? Maybe you'd get suspended. So initially, the chancellor wanted to suspend him for 3 games, and that didn't really fly. It didn't happen.
The chancellor,
right? And then the AD was like, "We can't do that. He's gonna get really mad."
Yeah, sure, good plan. Who's gonna tell him?
That's exactly it. And so then the next option was, okay, we'll just suspend him for a game. And the AD was like, I don't know if that's a good idea either. Bob Knight was coaching the next evening. He received 0 backlash, gotten 0 trouble, like no fines, nothing, and just wound up coaching the next game.
Now, this is what I think happened. He lived in Indiana for 30 years, right? Mm-hmm. So he's like, he's a good old boy at heart. He probably, getting up there in age. His wife's giving him shit about his cholesterol. She's like, we're going to start eating salads for lunch. He's like fighting it. He's like, fine, I'll eat a goddamn The first day he goes to the salad bar, his boss is like, hey, Bobby Greenleaves, okay. And he goes, fuck this.
Right. His wife was at home. She's like, we need to talk about how you handle your health. He's like, I've always handled it well.
Yeah. I wonder if he was like, I've handled everything well. And then he probably went like, well, I mean, not everything. You're at Tech.
Didn't get the UT job, did you, Bobby?
Right, yeah.
Oh,
you could have done, and then he was like, you calling me a liar? I think that's the moment.
Oh, man.
Dude, he definitely was trying to eat healthy that day. Yeah. But was mad about it. Yeah. For sure. And he probably was like mad that he had to stand in line. Too.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, there shouldn't be lines for me."
Right, exactly. How many Puerto Rican cops do I have to punch to get a salad in this
Right.
fucking place? You know.
He was mad about the salad guard because that is for short people. Like for a short, you have to reach under it, and it's like a huge
It is.
deal.
Oh God, salad bar is not for the 6'5s. No. That's a really good point. I didn't even think about that.
It was hard that day for him.
right. He's looking at the sneeze guard like, you call that defense? You know?
And then he has some fucking dork basically calling him a pussy for eating a salad.
Some very appropriately 5'9", right prime height for salad bar dipshit.
Right.
Behind him and put his hand on his shoulder and say, "Hey, I think you're doing a great job." You do. Well, fuck you and all of Puerto Rico.
I bet you he doesn't like the fact that you have to call this guy Chancellor.
Oh God.
I don't like the
Yeah.
name Chancellor either, though. Every time you said it, I was like, fucking British
You mean
prick.
No,
fucking
but I mean, if
Dean?
you're somebody,
Right.
he would correct everybody. Like if you didn't call him Coach Knight, like he got really pissed. So I could only imagine being somebody that's like, yeah, you have to call me Coach. I've earned that position. And it's like, oh, now I gotta call this fucking guy Chancellor. That's like a way more important thing. I gotta call that guy.
I think I had a dean.
Yeah, Dean.
Okay, that's what a chancellor is.
Yeah, Dean, headmaster, same shit.
Chancellor. But Texas Tech has a chancellor.
They did. They did. That guy
I don't
actually
like
wound
it.
up getting in a bunch of trouble. He became the chancellor at a university in New York, and he got caught like embezzling a bunch of money.
Yeah, he had to pay off Bob Knight for not kicking his
Yeah.
ass.
I bet that.
Bob Knight was like, "Give me your milk money."
I bet he fucking.
He goes, "I'll fucking come to New York. I don't have a job anymore. I got plenty of free time."
That's
You got me
right.
fired, fucker.
That's right. And then I'm gonna have to fucking sit in traffic, so you know I'll be really mad when I get there.
Well, that's Bob Knight. I guess we
Yeah.
all know who he is now.
Yeah. We'll wrap it up a little bit. I got a couple quotes from Bob Knight that were some of my favorites, and then I'll show you the video of him throwing that chair. So these are some of the favorite
Can
quotes
you
I got
do
from
it
Bob
your
Knight.
best accent?
For Bob Knight?
Yeah.
He's just like, it's just like the quintessential, like if you can picture like a white dad with a serious anger problem in the 90s, that's the voice of Bob Knight.
All right. So,
You
so
remember
give us that.
well, I guess like your dad, like you.
No, my dad sounds Italian.
Okay. Oh wow. I don't know. It's Bob Knight. Bob Knight's voice always reminds me of like when you were at your friend's house and your dad's friend got mad at your friend, and then it was really uncomfortable for a little while.
Yeah.
You know.
One time I saw my friend's dad kick him in the fucking chest.
Yeah.
And,
That's fucking
and then he was
awkward.
crying and he looked at me. I was like, I can't.
You're not gonna let him kick me in the fucking
Yeah,
chest.
I was like, okay. And he was a fucking angry middle class English family.
Yeah.
So everyone was like, don't kick him in the chest. Giles is, why would you kick me in the chest, Dad?
His name was Giles.
His name was Giles.
How English were your fucking friends?
It was
Giles?
England.
Jesus Christ.
You were in England?
Yeah. I was 8 years old just looking at this poor bastard.
You were like, oi.
Colin's
Yeah.
like, "Can I kick him too?"
The whole
can do
family
that.
was very, very aggressive. They would have loved Bob Knight.
Yeah, right? So these are a couple of my favorite quotes. One of the quotes from him was, I don't think I've ever been out of control. Which I just don't think that's true.
But if that is true, that means he's really fucking funny.
Yeah.
Like, if I wonder if, like, before he threw the salad, he just goes, watch this.
Yeah, right. You're getting punked. One of them was, if the NBA was on Channel 5 and a bunch of frogs fucking was on Channel 4, I'd watch the frogs even if they were coming in fuzzy. Which I don't know if that means he hates the NBA or he loves watching frogs
He
fuck.
does. Listen, like I said, dude, Indiana's boring. Okay,
Yeah, right?
you find what you can do to entertain yourself.
That's
Is
right.
it flat?
yeah.
Very flat, very
So is it
desolate.
like a snowmobile?
Do you remember driving through Illinois
Yeah.
when it wasn't Chicago?
Yeah, just shit.
That's Indiana. Damn. It's the same state if you take Chicago out of Illinois.
Damn.
Yeah.
So we'll get rid of it.
Pretty rough. And then
I just don't know why they would become, like, if your place sucks, you become more conservative. You know what I'm saying? Like, wouldn't you just be like, yo, we're gonna make theme parks, we're gonna make fun things, everyone's gonna be awesome.
Well, they do the theme parks and the fun things. It's just they're ran by racists. That's
what
it.
makes you? I'm just confused by the thought process. Why are you like theme parks liberal?
Huh?
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying liberal. I'm saying
They're just fun?
they're like repressive. I'm using the word conservative as repressive.
Right. So what do you want them to do? Open.
Heroin.
Do you want them to build roller
Oh,
coasters
there's
for
heroin
you?
in the Midwest. I
Yeah,
promise you that.
they got the heroin thing down pretty good.
Okay, cool. Then maybe less heroin. Less heroin, more
Roller coasters?
I guess
know.
Okay,
parades.
Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
This guy wants fucking less heroin. Talking about fun.
All right. I guess.
Why don't you 12
I don't-
step it out of a fucking
I
Indiana?
guess, I guess we'll never fix Indiana. I can't think of one thing to improve it.
Yeah.
About I guess more coffee shops.
More cafes. Yeah, why not? I think more cafes never
If you
hurt
could do
anybody.
anything to Indiana, what would you do? You guys seem to know it.
Oh,
what
like
would help?
how would I improve Indiana?
I would make it super cheap for artists to live there.
And then what?
And then it gets cool.
Yeah, I guess that's a pretty good answer.
Oh, well, I think it is cheap for.
I would.
Is it cheap?
No, but like, give subsidies so artists can like make money there. Because
Let's,
the reason artists aren't there is no people are there. But if the state starts paying for it, maybe some more people will come out. It'll become
I was
more.
thinking,
Guys,
what if
guys,
you
guys,
what
guys,
if you
guys.
take get another Great Lake and just dig a hole deep down in Indiana?
We just need Joe Rogan to move to Indiana.
Joe Rogan moving into Indiana.
Problem solved. Joe, go check it out. I've heard Gary. I bet Gary would change their name to Joe Rogan, Indiana, if he said he'd move there.
Who?
Gary, Indiana. It's not a person. It's a
It's a place.
state of mind.
And actually, I think that they would really embrace that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Oh, God, they'd love it.
hey,
They
we got to
would eat it
fix.
up.
We got a proposal for the state of Indiana: hire artists or convince Joe Rogan to
Joe
move
Rogan,
there.
just one artist. And then my favorite quote. This is the most famous quote from Bob Knight. Was he? And I can't even remember when he said this, but he goes, "When my time on Earth is gone and my activities here are past, I want them to bury me upside down, and the critics can kiss my ass." And that was like his big.
Was that original?
I don't think so, but it's like he's like quoted as saying it all the
Because
time,
it would be hilarious if he was like secretly a poet.
like a slam poet.
Yeah, just fucking.
Technical fouls. Refs holding me back. Must throw this chair into freedom.
Heroin ain't crack.
Oh, man. So that's Bob Knight. That's been his story.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I hate Puerto Rico, and I hope you do too.
I was trying to think of one, but my brain just kept going. Once upon a time, starting a whole fucking story.
Once upon a time. There you go. Well, that's been Bob Knight. Thank you guys so much for watching the show. Check us out on all our socials. We got more episodes coming out. We hope you guys enjoyed this one.
Yes, and just a little info about how we do things here. Martin has had one long piece of hair on his computer the entire time.
Oh, no.
And it's not mine. It's brown.
My girlfriend.
He was moving it around like a
I
poor
didn't even
kid,
notice.
like a poor kid with a fly on his face. This man has had a hair on his computer. Just oh, and here's another quote: click, click, click. Just pushing the hair into his computer. I didn't say anything until now because I'm a fucking pro.
Yeah, that's exactly why you didn't say anything. Well, thank you guys.
Were you calling me a liar? Dude, I actually was the entire time thinking the best way to end this would be if Bob Knight came in and just started, is this fucking about me? And just started beating us up.
He gets in. Get that fucking hair out of the shot.
I'd get punched in the face by Bob Knight.
Yeah, especially now because he's
Right.
got like Alzheimer's. So you
He has
probably
Alzheimer's?
think you were the Puerto Rican cop. Yeah.
He goes, well, I bet he probably said some things about gay people. Well, did you edit that out?
What?
All the stuff that he said about gay people?
No, I didn't. I didn't look for his homophobic comments. I should have.
I bet I know at least one word he said.
I bet I know the word.
2001, we all said it.
Well, it was before the Hillary Duff commercial, of course.
Yeah.
Wait, what was the Hillary Duff commercial?
You didn't hear that? The Hillary Duff commercial where like they're in the mall and someone's like, "What do you think of this shirt?" And they're like, "That shirt's gay." And Hillary Duff walks in. She goes, "You shouldn't say gay because it's not a person that is dating someone of the same gender. That's wrong." And then that was the whole commercial.
It was a commercial on
Dude,
TV?
it was a full commercial.
On TV?
Yeah, pull it up.
It's the gayest commercial I've ever heard of.
It's so funny, dude. It was huge.
I don't know why we're about to watch this fucking idiot when we could be watching Hillary Duff.
Well,
All right, you watch that, I'll watch this.
We'll play you off with Bobby Knight throwing the chair. And yeah, check us out next week.
No tango racism.
Steve Reed, an excellent free throw shooter, will have the honors shooting the technicals.
Looky here, looky here. Bobby Knight just threw his chair clear across the free throw lane.
And I think Fred Jackson.
Unbelievable. He picked up another
He
tee.
picked up another tee. That's it?
That's about it.
He didn't get thrown out of the game for that?
He'll get thrown out
Now
eventually.
Fred Jaspers is called for athletic director Ralph Floyd.
Fred Jasper's talking to.
They're like not gonna go
Mr.
over there to
Floyd
touch
down
him.
the corner.
Now we got Ralph Floyd out on the floor.
It's 11-6. We're just 5 minutes into the contest.
It's 11-6.
This is early in the game. This is very early in the game.
They fucking love it. Could you imagine
Wait, they're
being there?
chanting Bob.
Yeah, they're in Indiana.
Gene Caney, the Purdue coach, comes over.
Because it was like he did it because there were so many bad calls in the beginning of the game.
Have been made.
Now we got three.
Now we
He's
got
gone.
three.
He's
Yep.
gone.
Wait, you get 3 technicals for one thing he did?
Yeah, there were 3 total. He should get kicked out after 2 technicals.
And Bob Knight is gone.
Well, he came dressed to play golf. Maybe he'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
we talked earlier about the fact
People
that he has
love
a
it.
tire on.
I feel like what
He
they
really
were...
takes his sweet ass time getting out of there.
Nice golf course here in Bloomington, a university course.
I know, I saw him.
Kind of year it's been over here.
Oh, all right, there it is.
Total
That's
frustration.
phenomenal.